Okay, so to graph this guy, we've got to look at the two numbers we have. And the numbers we have are a 2 here at the very end and a 2 in front of the x. So if you remember our general function, we here happen to have numbers in the b position and in the c position. So you might remember that the period is affected by the c number. So it looks like here, if we sub in the 2 for the c, our new period will be pi. That means the new graph will be entirely repeated. I'll try to erase that if this thing will work today. There we go. Will be repeated within the space here of pi rather than 2 pi. That'll be the new one. Second thing to take note of is the second number there at the end in the b position will be a vertical shift of a +2. Amplitude is still 1, there is no multiplier. And phase shift, there is no number in the d position, so there is no sideways change at all. So let's start this one by graphing. Let me make this bigger so we can see it better. This is the cos graph, so let's graph the original cosine function. Cos starts at 1. At 2 pi we'll be back at 1. Halfway between we are at -1. And then my zeros occur at the midpoints. So your cosine curve will start to look something like this. You should try to do a couple of repeats instead of just one. Instead of just a single cycle of the graph. We do want to see the full visual. Okay, so let's continue. We've got our parent graph down, and the new one now, as I mentioned before, a full repeat will happen in the space of pi. And in addition to that, I have to shift it up 2. So, a full repeat with a shift up of 2. If I shift my 1 point up 2, my new point will be right up here, 2 higher. My 0 point will be 2 higher. And my -1 point will be here. Now there's a problem. I've only got half a repeat here. So my low point is going to be the one I just drew. I'm going to slide him over so he shows up here at pi/2 instead of there. And I know my high point of 3 on the y-axis has to happen here so I can get a full cycle in. So it looks like at these two intermediate points is where I would cross the axis. So here is one repeat. So this upward shift of 2 is my second 2. The 2 inside of the circle there over on the edge is where I'm doubling my period. Now this same guy is going to repeat here in between these two values and again in between here. So let's see, my low point was right in the middle. I'm going to finish up here again. My low point is here. I'm going to finish up top. And I can make a few more repeats. I'd be a little slower and more careful doing these. But here's where this graph should show up. And I could continue the same type of thinking backwards and find a couple of more iterations or repeats or copies of this particular graph. So be sure you start with the parent graph. Making some notes about period, etc. is useful. And let's see if I can shrink us down a little bit here. We can see some of those notes as well. Okay, so there's your second one for problem 8.